Well, for those of you who want to get rid of the brotherly shove, the NFL has a message for you. Shove it. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Welcome, everybody, to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jower Garen, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about one of the more controversial plays in the NFL during the 2020s, especially last season and the season before that with the Philadelphia Eagles, the play known as the Tush Push, or the brotherly shove, or the Kelsey Crusher, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's that weird-looking quarterback sneak play where the quarterback takes the ball under center, and then it seems like everyone just pushes him forward, and they get the first down that way, used in short yardage situations, almost like a rugby scrum of sorts. There was talk about whether or not this play would be banned heading into the 2024 season, whether it would be outlawed because the Eagles were having so much success running that play. Well, everyone's meeting next week down in Orlando to talk about rule changes, including things like the hip drop tackle. We're talking about clock changes potentially for the final minute of each half, where you have tenths of a second on the clock instead of how it is now. You're also talking about kickoff changes. It'll be very interesting to see what happens there. A lot of stuff on the table with kickoffs. But the Tush Push, one of the things potentially being talked about for the 2024 season that could go away, but the NFL said, nope, Tush Push is here to stay. We are not putting in any rule changes in that regard. Don't know what other rule changes are going to happen, but the Tush Push is safe. This according to a report from Olivia Reiner, who says, on today's pre-annual league meeting call with the media, NFL Football Operations Executive Vice President Troy Vincent discussed the sentiment around the Tush Push brotherly shove. After consulting with various committees all season, like the Competition Committee and the Health and Safety Committee, it was best to say, leave it alone. NFL Executive Vice President of Communications, Public Affairs, and Policy, Jeff Miller, added, there just wasn't injury data that would give the committee the opportunity to make a decision. Concern? Sure, as we've discussed, but not the kind of injury data that Troy Vincent described that the committee would be looking for. The concern that Miller is referring to involves the defensive players that jump over the top of the pile to try and stop the ball carrier. Vincent referred to that as more of a what-if, just a hypothetical scenario. So really, there's two elements here, health and safety and competition. Starting with health and safety, there's no concrete data that shows that the injury rate goes up, at the very least, with the percentages that the NFL is looking for. Look at the hip drop tackle. The NFL wants to get rid of the hip drop tackle. Troy Vincent is really about getting rid of the hip drop tackle. NFLPA does not want to get rid of hip drop tackle because it would be impossible to enforce. There's a whole discussion about that, whether we're doing too much to make the game safer to the point where it doesn't resemble football. It would be really tough on defenses. But at least with hip drop tackle, injuries go up 20 to 25 times compared to a regular tackle. Look at kickoffs. Before they made the change, 30% of torn ACLs came on special teams, even though special teams only comprise 17% of the plays. So your odds of getting a torn ACL were double on special teams versus regular plays. Kickoffs made up 6% of overall plays, but 14% of concussions, so you were more than twice as likely to get a concussion on a kickoff versus a regular play. 30% of major knee injuries and 29% of other lower body injuries came on special teams, compared to 17% of the plays comprising special teams. So you look at the hip drop tackle, you look at helmet-to-helmet hits that they banned, horse collar tackle, you look at kickoffs. You need concrete data to show that the injury rate goes up significantly, probably by at minimum 100%, something in the ballpark of double what it is right now. And there is nothing whatsoever to suggest that with the Tush Push. Now, 10 years from now, when we have more data, that could change. 10 years from now, we could see that this becomes more commonplace, the Tush Push becomes more commonplace as more teams know how to execute it and run it properly, and it's more than just one team regularly running it as part of their arsenal. But right now, there's no data to suggest that offensive players are getting injured, that defensive players are getting injured to try and stop the play. Health and safety, this is not a concern in the slightest bit. Okay, so maybe it's not a matter of safety, but what about the competition aspect and making things exciting? It's why we changed the extra point. Remember, the extra point used to be at the 2-yard line instead of the 15, and we changed it. It wasn't because of a safety issue. It was because these extra points were so boring. They were so automatic. They were converting over 98% of the time. And if something's automatic in any sport, it needs to go. Nothing in this sport or any sport should be an automatic gimme play. But the Tush Push is not an automatic play, not in the slightest bit. Yes, it looks very successful when the Eagles do it, but it can absolutely be stopped. We even saw that in the Eagles-Bucks playoff game in the 2023 wildcard, just to give one instance of it being stopped. The success rate isn't anything crazy. Yes, the Eagles run it at an incredible clip, but not counting the Eagles, you have about a 72% success rate across the rest of the league. The expected conversion rate on 4th and 1, which is when this play will be run, is around 68%, and that factors in teams throwing the ball and doing stupid things, so nothing crazy. Your success rate running the Tush Push versus just running it regularly on 4th and 1, it's pretty even. So you don't really need to bet in that regard because it's not this automatic play. It's just the Eagles make it look so effortless, and I'm not sure you want to punish one team for running a play very, very well and outlaw it when it seems like other teams are struggling with it, or at the very least, not as efficient as Philly or not doing it any better than how they regularly do 4th and 1s. On top of that, who even knows if the Eagles are still going to run this play? Honestly, who knows how often Philly will run this play in 2024, because the man behind it, Jason Kelce, he was really the guy, the driving force of this play. He's not there anymore. He retired. He announced his retirement from football, and we all saw it coming, and he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer in all likelihood. At the very least, he will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame someday, but that's beside the point. The point is that the Eagles might not even run this play anymore, at least not to the extent that they ran it in 2022 and 2023. So this could be a complete non-issue. We could see the Tush Push go down. It's almost like if you put in a rule right now regulating the ink in quills. Like, who's using quills anymore compared to back in the day? Like you get the idea. You get the idea. The times are changing. The times could be changing. You might be making a mountain out of a molehill with the Tush Push in terms of this being a complete non-issue, because who knows how often this play will be run anyways in 2024. So health and safety, not really a concern. There's no real data to suggest injuries go up. Competition, too automatic of a play, not so much. Philly makes it look effortless, but that could change with Jason Kelce gone, and it doesn't make a difference on regular 4th and 1s with the other 31 teams in football, relatively speaking. So the Tush Push will not be banned. We'll see a lot of new rule changes in 2024, potentially. Kickoffs, again, hip drop tackle, that won't be controversial in the slightest bit. The lines definitely won't get screwed over during one game because of a call on that one. But Tush Push is safe. If you like the Tush Push, if you don't like the Tush Push, you're going to have to live with it for another season at the very least. Not saying it's going to be permanent, but at least until we get more data on injury rates and whatnot, Tush Push is not going anywhere anytime soon. But what are your thoughts? Do you like the fact that the Tush Push is staying in place? Do you not like the fact that the Tush Push is staying in place? Do you think the Eagles still run the Tush Push effectively with Jason Kelce no longer there? Do you think there's a way to stop the Tush Push? How would you stop the Tush Push? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, JaguarGator9, when we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is JaguarGator9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.